maybe 10-15 minutes for the presentation with some comments, and after that Q&A session. Yeah, so because we collected questions for you, not just for you, for every speaker, but for you, some special ones. And don't forget that you are
Okay.
a representative of the younger generation of the designers of the future of fashion. Yeah, you remember that fashion is in tough times now. Yeah, so I mean legacy fashion, traditional fashion. So yeah, and here we can start. Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, oh,
Excellent.
yeah, and after that we can make an interview. Yeah, send in your questions. I mean in a written form. Yeah, and we'll make a video. Yeah, and we'll push it everywhere. So now we are making content, mindful
Okay.
content, as I hope, and I know that you are very talented and very intelligent and smart. So we will have this good result. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
So
That sounds great. I'm just going to do it. Mhm.
yeah, so the second day of Metaverse Fashion Week is here, and we have Lisa Paull. Thank you, Lisa, for being with us. Lisa is a cool 3D fashion designer, and she is not just very creative and talented person. She's very experienced, and she has a real experience of collaboration with the bigger brands, or with bigger corporations like Target, like Amazon, like O'Neill. Yeah. So you will tell us your stories, your background, your expectations, and your perspectives. But like the starting point for this conversation session is we are at the end of 2024. It was a year of challenges. Like Marco Ruffo says from Pinko, he says it's a tough year, yeah, tough situation for the industry. So the question is, at the end of the day, so the question is whether 2024 is going to be the year of lasting challenges, or tough year, or a year of hope. Our position is that, of course, of hope, because this combination and adjustment of technology to fashion, and some like redefinition of fashion with a younger generation of designers, with a new venture capital funds coming, what we are working on, yeah, with the new tech solutions and so on, that will all bring hope. But still, we live in time of pain and like challenges. Yeah. So here is Lisa Paull. Please tell your story and tell us about the perspectives and where are we going. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa, for coming.
Absolutely. No worries. Thank you for having me so much. So, as Kazbek was saying, I'm a fashion designer that has 15 years of industry experience in traditional manufacturing. To his point, it has been a tough year in fashion, but I think the disruption of the metaverse and integrating 3D solutions is something that it starts out, but I think it's going to be a really good partnership between, animation, fashion, business solutions, how to integrate these business to business solutions to help us push forward. So, for example, currently right now, I'm a 3D designer for a small manufacturing company that manufactures with Target. And I don't know if you've seen the news, but Target's had some bad earnings just come out lately. And so right now, like one of the main goals that we are working with is how to align on styles ahead of time, how to make the prototypes more accurate, how to do a lot of these more visual solutions to better align on product. So in traditional manufacturing, like for example, if we do guesses or we don't have good business solutions or we don't trust our designers, we end up with lots of oversampling, too much inventory. This is the case of Target at the moment, right? So the way that you integrate these 3D solutions is going to be very important going forward for more accuracy in aligning on what your key strategies are. So with that, I'm just going to jump into my presentation. I added a little bit extra of my background just so you can sort of see. And then I'm going to jump into one of my most recent projects with Fox Racing and Revelist brands to sort of show you an integrated solution that they were so excited to adopt. So for right now, let me jump in, share my screen. Okay, and I'm going to go into presentation mode. Screen mode. Okay, so just a little bit about my background. Ever since I was very little, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer. My grandfather was a manufacturer and pattern cutter and sewer, and he would go around to all the companies fixing their machines. So fashion just is something that is in my heritage. So I started out, I went to FIT for traditional fashion design. I studied in Italy abroad at the Politecnico di Milano in fashion. I've worked in various companies such as J. Crew, White House Black Market. I went on to work for Amazon. I designed Amazon essentials for their women's, kids, and baby, and their collab brands for Disney. After that, I transitioned to the surf industry. I designed for O'Neill their women's and kids collection. And currently right now, I'm at Stony Apparel doing 3D for Target. So I have a pretty diverse background, everything from super high end, like Marchesa, $20,000 evening gowns that celebrities would wear, to extremely mass market. Amazon Essentials is one of, the people's brands. It's very similar to like a Walmart or a Target, where you really have that price point strategy. So I've kind of worked in everything, high and low. So I was looking at the metaverse principles and the creative destruction of the old fashion industry, and there is no fashion without AI, web, and other tech. This is super interesting to have your guys' support and partnership in helping to transform the fashion industry. So the way I really see this working is a partnership between what business solutions need to happen, how to integrate 3D and tech, just working within the system of the traditional fashion industry. So not necessarily a total destruction, but a partnership in how we can work together to fuel the industry forward. So just a little bit about that more traditional background. So this is some work that I did when I was at Marchesa. So you can see hand cut, hand sewn dresses that we did for the evening wear collection. And I just wanted to put a note out there, like I've worked at Amazon. I definitely understand the principles of the tech industry to, to fail quick and often, to, move with quickness, to have a team that you can feed on 2 pizzas. And, this doesn't really work in the fashion industry. We're a team of people that have a lot of historical knowledge that's passed down from generation to generation. We're really a big team of people that come together to get things done. So I think when we talk about partnership, it's really about how we work with the old fashion industry and integrate these new solutions. I don't think that we'll have a fashion week or a runway show built on 4 designers and that's it. So within that being said, how do I think that the fashion industry with its current traditional constraints can transform? So just one example. So this is a trend report project that I put together for a swimwear client. It's pretty traditional to do trend forecasting before you start a collection. So you can see that I've pulled all of the images and I'm assorting what categories to sort of propose for the new colors and the new silhouettes. And so one thing that I think AI and new tech could be really interesting to integrate is visuals as data. So when we talk about technology and more like Amazon-like styles, data is at the forefront of all of the decision-making processes. And that's also true in traditional fashion. So when we're looking at trying to come up with what exactly is going to sell, when it's going to sell, why it's going to sell, we need to be analyzing all these complex visual data to put together our best foot forward at what's going to be selling in next year's time. So the old way of doing this is this sort of example in which you put together all of your images just by my personal knowledge. And an interesting way that we could combine that with a new technology system is the ability to track and tag data by partnering with people like Vogue, by using the data scientists to tag what the visuals are for color, for style, for trend, for detail, such as ruffles, color blue, wide leg jeans. So for example, you can map these trend curves based on visual data to be able to see what's going to sell next year. And it's the same both in a video game as in a traditional retail environment. What's going to sell on a video game character is pretty similar to trying to forecast what's going to sell in real life. So that's one business to business solution where we could be integrating 3D to come up with better ideas about what's going to sell next year, rather than putting everything together by hand. Bringing ideas to life. So this is some work that I did for a project at the new school when I was studying for 3D. The old way of doing fashion design is sketching by hand. Something Kazbek and I was talking about, was working your entire career as a fashion designer and working all the way up to maybe creative director at Dior or Prada or something like this. And it's more traditional to do these sketches by hand, to do drapings by hand, and then to hopefully be able to sell your ideas. And one thing in fashion is that if you can't sell your ideas, you don't end up going anywhere. So the ability to be able to take your ideas and bring them into life by taking your sketch, which is very hard to align on with people who aren't creative, and showing just exactly what your idea means in real life. So this is one way that more of like a luxury environment or a traditional atelier could integrate 3D solutions into their business model. So for example, the accuracy in sampling and prototypes. The old way is by doing a sketch, you do a tech pack, you send it to a factory, and you pray that your sample is going to come back looking good. A lot of times, the details that you align on in your sketch need to be so accurate and precise, or else the style won't get through with sales, with marketing, with the leadership and design. And so the ability to have this accuracy to be able to align on these samples ahead of time is so important as a designer. So this is some work that I did when I was designing at Amazon. You can see the old style sketches, which are more 2D CADs, and you can see how the 3D just shows the sample more true to life. So you get a better visualization of what you're buying into. So this is an example which I had sent to Kazbek that I was working with. I approached Fox Racing and Revelist Brands to sort of transform their business to business solutions. So currently, the way it works right now is you have your sketches, your 2D CADs or your hand sketch, and you're showing samples in person. Maybe you've bought samples that are references, you have your fabrics that are references, you're trying to show samples through a video to align on what you're doing. Is very difficult to see what's going to happen. So these are some examples that I did of their actual products currently on site right now to help them align earlier. So it helps you visualize with ease, troubleshoot proportions. You can do size review fittings, cost savings. So a lot of times you have 1, 2, and 3 prototypes until you get it right. Do you want it to be a scoop neck, a V-neck? Is the scoop neck a 1-inch neck drop, a 3-inch neck drop? Where does that shoulder measurement come to? So to go from 3 samples being sent from Asia to California to 1 is a massive cost savings. And then enhancing the customer experience through customizable outfitting on avatars, or integrating those samples into Roblox and Fortnite and having that second selling, and getting those marketing eyes earlier in video games with the younger consumer. So this is an example of a sample workflow that I put together of exactly where you would integrate those 3D sketches. So traditionally you start with concept, you go to the design phase. At the same time, you're working through the CAD art, so what the visuals would be, and your first pattern. So here's where you integrate that 3D sketching prototype. You go to sketch review. At the same time, you CAD up and do your color ups, and then you would integrate a 3D CAD review. You align on your CADs in body, in the visual and the avatar, and then you do a final line review with your sales team, your marketing team, your merchants. And then once everything is aligned on, you have your final renders and your prototypes come back first time right. So this works for both the new styles and for carryover styles. So The next thing you can do as well is you can have custom avatars. So these are just examples from Alvanon, which are more industry standard mannequins, but you could also do, they were very interested in doing their athletes as the avatars. So they could actually get an example on body and try to get their like marketing athletes integrated into the whole process, start to finish. So just a little workflow of what happens when you have your digital avatar, your fabric digitization, your OBJs with the hardware. You go to Sketch, trim out, you do your colorways, your final renders, and then you finalize with animation. So you can see here, so this is a visual example of the sketch done in 3D, where you can align on what the details are. You get a true to life example of accurate portions in the sketch, and do quick color up and mock-ups across your assortment. So you get to flip really quickly to make edits without actually having to buy samples. And then you get your final renders, which are really nice, true to life mock-ups. Same thing with the pant, your 3D sketch, your color ups, and your final renders. And you can kind of see the process and the flow. So this is sort of an old school hand sketch, really hard to visualize, really hard to align on, like what is that even going to be when you see it? And so by working through 3D and integrating it in forward into the process, you really get that alignment up front and that visualization up front. And then, of course, we all know about the virtual gaming. That's what a lot of people are here for. And though I'm not an industry expert in animation and visualization, I do think that the ability to partnership with animators to have that workflow in gaming, you definitely get those eyeballs earlier on your product. You get new customers, you know, interacting with what you're doing, and then you get some really fun partnerships. And so I do want to thank you for being a part of my presentation. I'll open it up to some questions and I'll stop the screen share.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Lisa. Very, very informative. But so there are wider questions. Yes. So they arise. So like okay, you are very, very good at like 3D side of the job. Okay. You mentioned avatars. Okay, but you know that tech solutions are coming. I mean that one day or maybe even today, avatars can become customers. Yeah, and you still think that avatars are they look like athletes. Yeah. So my question is, can avatars have more than two legs, more than two hands? And what will you do in this case if they have? Yeah. Like in
There was a little
three-dimensional.
bit of there's a little bit of freezing happening when you were speaking. So if I could just ask you
So
to repeat your question, I'm so sorry.
you mentioned avatars, yeah. So but
Yes,
avatars you showed us, they are still similar to what we have with people, yeah. So they are similar.
absolutely, yes.
And if one day avatars supercharged by AI, yeah, and my first question, what do you think? Are they going to be customers? Are they going to pay first? And if they don't look like us, if they have 10 hands and like 20 legs, yeah, are you going
Yes,
to tell them something? Yeah, why not?
absolutely. I definitely think this is going to happen. So I think what we need to remember about fashion, at its core, it's about identity and expression of self. And
Self.
so
And
of
this self
self.
isn't human, definitely, or it is. It's just human.
It doesn't have to be, because if you're talking about integration with avatars that are for gaming purposes or how you're going
Mhm,
to show up in a meeting in a digital workspace,
mhm.
you get the ability to play and to express yourself in a way that you can't in real life. So the core of fashion and why we wear clothing is really, it's really about self-expression and imagination and who you want to show up as. And so you can show up in a meeting as a dragon with wings and three hands, and that might be who you want to be for the day, you know, and the ability to be able to dress your avatar in its form will be very in a very expressive version of self. So I definitely think yes, that has a both an ability to happen and there's a use case for it for sure.
But is it the same self or not? I mean, me and this dragon. Who is the boss?
Yes, I mean I would say yes. if it is your avatar that you
Uh-huh.
are,
I am the
uh,
boss, yeah.
yeah, you are the boss of what you want it to look like, how you want it to behave,
Mm-hmm.
and what you want to dress it as.
Uh-huh.
If it's showing up as you
Uh-huh.
in a game or in a meeting.
Uh-huh. Let me keep asking this direction. So, but if this avatar one day has money, not my money,
Ah,
his or her own money, that adds to the sovereignty of this self, okay? And then
sure,
if it or he or she has their own style, okay,
sure,
and they want to
sure.
change it with your help, okay, and
Yeah,
if they are supercharged by AI and they self-train themselves, yeah, and the function
sure.
of fashion in this case isn't just to express my personality, it's just to fashion their self, yeah. So are
Yeah.
you going to sell them something separately from the boss, from me? You think that I am the boss of this avatar, but it has all the features, all the qualities of independent sovereign person, yeah? Having money, style, brains, yeah, why not? Like,
Sure.
mhm,
I would say yes as well, because if they are their own sovereign being and they do have money to buy and they are, thinking and learning and evolving with that AI
uh-huh,
mindset of evolution, and then I think yes, there's definitely a marketplace for that.
uh-huh. Okay, what kind of money is okay for you? I mean, from the avatar, because in any case, they still cannot use like fiat money. I mean, dollars or euros. No, just crypto because they can mint it, they can mine it, yeah, and they can issue it. Are you ready to be
I
paid
mean,
by AI's money, meme coins minted by them?
I would say so. I think, it's a transaction, and if it has value, then
Uh-huh,
that's acceptable, right? Lines get bigger. And then the one thing that I do want to say, like with that regard, is right now that system is very it fluctuates like greatly, right? But when you start to have, so those avatars aside, you start to bring in companies like J. Crew, like The Gap, like Amazon, and they are starting to sell, Fox Racing in these digital spaces. You start to stabilize that crypto market because you get all these large companies involved. And
mm-hmm,
so then when you're talking about right now, is that a risky investment to be taking money like that? Sure. But once you start integrating all these companies in and you have these avatars,
uh-huh.
maybe one day, digital AI robots buying with these coins,
Yeah.
then I think that's an acceptable form. And I think you start pushing that transition to digital money by the fact that everybody's participating. And even with these large companies, they have their own strategies for their portfolios of how they invest their money, what they invested in,
Mm-hmm.
how they make those decisions, and their proprietary strategies, right? And to diversify these large companies in that way is a positive thing, I think, for our industry.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So you are based in LA, and
Yes.
one of our ideas is that the future of fashion, what we call smart fashion, is this connection of technology, financial engineering, I mean, contemporary tools, financial tools, and of course creativity, of course fashion, in its role of self-expression and of fashioning the selves and so on. Yeah. So we wanna like make Silicon Valley mindset and fashion industry mindset. We want to make them match. We want to like marry them, make them marry. Yeah, why not? So to put it quite simple. And we already spoke at this Smart Fashion Summit with some leaders, business leaders from Italy and France. Yeah, and we have a lot of venture capital funds here in Silicon Valley. We spoke to them as well. We said, okay, why not to bring fashion brands from Europe, not just from Europe, from everywhere. Yeah? So fashion brands, younger designers, yeah, why not to bring them to Bay Area, to San Francisco, to make them meet with the tech giants, with corporations, with startups, and with venture capital funds, because future is here, of course. We see that there will be nothing productive in a couple of years among the fashion pieces which are not connected to AI or to some digital asset. So your work is invaluable, yeah. So you do beautiful Web3 stuff, yeah. So 3D stuff, just connected to blockchain. That means to value, and then connected to AI, which is very, very affordable now. So everything is quite affordable. So it's very cheap and not so complicated to use. Yeah. So and future is here. So we think that fashion industry as it is now. So you mentioned Target, like even Target. Yeah. So you know that Kering Group lost like 40% of their market cap this year. Kering Group is Yves Saint Laurent and Balenciaga and Gucci. Like LVMH is down, even LVMH. Yeah. So we think that the future isn't just in China or India or Thailand, as they say. It's not about like doing the same stuff and selling it to some new country. The planet Earth is round, yeah, and it ended up, I mean, with the new countries. The next destination is Antarctic, but it's the penguins still don't buy fashion. I mean that, and now they have another problem with the prices. Yeah, so they rose the prices because of the inflation. Inflation. I mean the fashion brands, and now they say, oh, that is the problem. People stopped buying that. So 50 million of luxury, 50 million of luxury customers left the market. 50 million. It's like maybe 25% of what they had. But we think that we shouldn't change anything. It's impossible, but we can add some additional value to fashion pieces with your help, based upon the digital solutions. Yes, so in the 3D form, like it could be environments, it could be experiences, it could be copies. I think that copies are boring, but you decide. You are the designer, yeah. AI, of course, yeah. So we think that future is here, and California plus uh, all other worlds, so will save fashion industry. We think so. That's our point.
Well, yeah, I think you make a great point, and I want to sort of snowball off of what you're saying by so when you look at fashion companies, and obviously there's been, I don't know if you've been following like the senior designers kind of like in the luxury industry that have been kind of doing the switch around right now, and who's at Gucci head design, who's at Prada head designer right now, who's at Valentino. Like Valentino had a major shakeup recently, and so did Gucci for their
Yeah.
head designers. And you have to say like, okay, I heard Gucci is down right now, like sales aren't going well. And you have to say why. Is it, to your point, you're saying like, do you just keep expanding to other countries? And for me, this is why I added that first few slides into my presentation about accuracy and trend forecasting. And I think what it really comes down to is understanding and using the visual data of what's happening right now and why do people want to buy what they're buying. So when I look at right now, Valentino, head designer Alessandro Michele was formerly at Gucci. Much big success for him 10 years ago, right? It was important for him at that time. He made the 70s trend reemerge, this sort of crazy print and pattern mixing. It was a time where people were really wanting to be expressive in their fashion with what was going on in the social world and in context. And now that he's at Gucci, his eye, that's his style and that's his aesthetic and that's his signature. And he's integrating that into the Valentino house, but it's not really working right now, from what I've been reading. And you have to ask yourself why. So culturally, we've shifted more to conservative, a little bit more conservative styling, at least here. And that boho styling isn't very popular right now. And so the way that he's applying his signature style into that brand isn't resonating with the consumers because they've moved past that and they're looking for something different. And so when I showed, or at least that's my opinion, I think he's a brilliant designer and
That's
one of,
good. That's
the
good.
very best. I really do, sincerely. But my point is that in the trend analysis, the visual data is is really important for designers to understand. And you have to have that creativity to do what people aren't looking for, but you also have to be able to take all of that information and see what is happening. So it might not be Gucci, it might be Dior, it might be Walmart. I'm making this up, but one of the big things is how to integrate those trends and to make those decisions to see what's actually happening. You don't have to let sales or culture dictate what you're doing as a designer, but to be able to map the visuals with data is an excellent solution for some of these more large companies of like what colors are important, what styles are important, how you're proposing these ideas with your sales partners. And then you allocate a section that says, okay, 30–40% is going to be for my creative designs at Gucci, like whatever I want it to be. And then I'm also going to have a look at this data to say, okay, this red color was popular last year. How am I going to evolve that as a designer? I don't want to do red again because that's what's out there. But we know on this curve where that color is and how do we want to evolve that based on the data and based on what I'm picking up with my own, design antennas to say, okay, I'm seeing all these things here and here. This is a little subculture over here that's happening. This is what I find interesting. These are the art styles that are happening, and how do I take that and integrate it into my collection? And so that's what I've found to be successful in terms of I don't know, things or how things could evolve to help companies that are in a downtrending cycle for sales,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the group of last questions is based on your answer. So give us like some predictions about 2025. And you see, US economy is growing. That's good. Yeah, so good, like healthy trend is coming. No political comment, but it's happening. We see that.
Right, same.
So the
Yeah.
crypto industry is on Mars. Yeah, like Bitcoin is almost 98 K. Yeah, now so everything is growing except of fashion. Yeah, so give us some predictions. Fashion in US and fashion in general. Yeah, so give us some hope, please, Lisa. Yeah, as a young
Oh,
designer.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, the fashion industry right now. So
Mhm.
one major new exciting thing is, to your point, how we show up in these like digital environments. That's going to be so exciting for people. I mean, I look at people like my nephew and the younger generation and how they are interacting with the gaming platforms and how expressive they are in their own sense of style. There's all these new ways of dressing, and how they're shopping is so different. And just because the old system is going through an evolution, like people will be shopping and interacting with brands in ways that we hadn't even thought of before. Like you said, showing up as a dragon with three arms in a meeting because that's how you're feeling for the day, and the ability to dress yourself to say like, okay, I feel like showing up on my motorcycle today in my crazy pink pants and a zebra top, and you know how you want to be expressive in what you interact with and buy, and the ability to get more creative through these methodologies. Like I'm already seeing that these styles that are in stores are getting more creative, and we do have the ability to be more expressive with what we're buying into, with what we're designing. And it's not just about basics. I think we've all seen that when we just do basics made on sales, we end up with, piles of fashion in Chile, and so that ability to get early reads on what people actually want to buy to reduce sampling so that we don't have those sort of issues happening is so exciting. We get the data in the palms of our hands to say like, okay, we don't actually have to order into 5,000 units of this one style. We can wait to manufacture it to see the demand of what we're going to be buying right now, just based on a digital sketch. And that's what's exciting to me, is being the closeness with the customer that we didn't have before. Before it was like dictating from these companies to the consumer what they should be wanting to wear. But right now we have the ability to learn from them, to hear from them, to see how they're dressing and how they're showing up in games or in real life. And I think that's what's so exciting, is the ability to have that closeness with the consumer and to see who they are.
Great, great. Thank you so much. So, Lisa, I want to end up with the invitation for you for next season. It's going to be in April, May next year. So you
Okay.
are so optimistic, but professionally optimistic. That's good news for us. When brands come to Silicon Valley, so you are our neighbor. You are in LA. By the way, I'm going to LA for one night tomorrow, and going
Ah,
back. I'm grabbing my son and bringing him here. Yeah,
okay.
so like it's very usual for me to go to LA and coming back. Yeah. So next time, next spring, I mean April, May. Yeah, you are more than welcome here. So with other brands, with the bigger brands, with the tech companies, with the venture capital companies, and maybe connected to City Hall of San Francisco, maybe not, who knows. Yeah, and now we
Okay.
started planning the events. Yeah, so thank you so much for your predictions. Thank you so much for your insights. Yeah, your experience is very, very important. And we are going to send you some questions to make an interview, and please share your deck. We want to promote all the knowledge you shared. Yeah, so not just this video, and there will be video out of this session. Yeah, and plus written interview. So thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I really appreciate your wanting to work together. It's so exciting. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, and talk to you soon. Yeah. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Take care. Bye.